first thing you should try to do is create a working prototype.
It's much, much easier.
I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing.
Your goal is to be less wrong.
Failure is not a big stigma.
People should ignore fear if it's irrational.
Constantly seek criticism.
I'm Elon Musk. I'm the chairman and the product architect of the company. The goal with Tesla was really to try to show that what electric cars can do, because people had the wrong impression. We had to change people's perception of an electric vehicle, because they used to think of it as something that was slow and ugly and had low range, kind of like a golf cart. So that's why we created the Tesla Roadster, to show that you can be fast, attractive, and long range. And it's amazing how, even though you can show that something works on paper, and the calculations are very clear, until you actually have the physical object and they can drive it, it doesn't really sink in for people. And so that I think is something worth noting. If you're going to create a company, the first thing you should try to do is create a working prototype. Everything looks great on PowerPoint. you can make anything work on PowerPoint. But if you have an actual demonstration article, even if it's in primitive form, that's much more effective for convincing people.
And then the internet's also helpful because anything to do with software is a low capital endeavor. So I didn't have any money. I just had a bunch of student debt. But software you could just write, like by yourself. And you don't need a lot of atoms, like you don't need a lot of tooling and equipment, and so it's not capital intensive. So the ability to start a company, if it's software related, and it's the first company, is much easier.
Whatever area that you get into, given that even if you're the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short.
Constantly seek criticism. A well thought out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. And you should seek that from everyone you can, but particularly your friends. Your friends know what's wrong, but they don't want to tell you because they don't want to hurt you. I would encourage my friends, so I'm not going to tell him what I think is wrong with his product. It doesn't mean your friends are right, but very often they are right. And you at least want to listen very carefully to what they say. And to everyone, you should take the approach that you, the entrepreneur, are wrong. Your goal is to be less wrong.
I say one of the things that was important then in the creation of PayPal, if you have one place where all of your financial services needs would be seamlessly integrated and work smoothly. And then we had like a little feature which was to do email payments. Whenever we'd show the system off to someone, we'd show the hard part, which was the agglomeration of financial services, which was quite difficult to put together. Nobody was interested. Then we'd show people email payments, which was actually quite easy, and everybody was interested. So we focused on email payments and really tried to make that work, and that's what really got things to take off. If we hadn't responded to what people said, they probably would not have been successful. So I think it's important to take feedback from your environment.
Elon, can I ask you about that one message to that potential entrepreneur waiting to make the jump?
People should ignore fear if it's irrational, and even if it's rational and the stake is worth it, it's still worth proceeding.
But I do think that one great thing about the Silicon Valley is failure is not a big stigma. So it's like if you try hard and it doesn't work out, that's okay. Like you can learn from that and do another company, and it's not a big deal. And I think that's really one of the great things about Silicon Valley.
The final thing I would encourage you to do is, now is the time to take risk. As you get older, your obligations increase. And once you have a family, you start taking risk not just for yourself, but for your family as well. It gets much harder to do things that might not work out. So now is the time to do that before you have those obligations. So I would encourage you to take risks now, to do something bold. You won't regret it.